why it happened, and I think I felt a little awkward talking about it, and I think it was just something that I thought everyone knew. Awkward talking about it, and
Yes, you heard that right. Burke Ramsey says hence at around the 30-minute mark in part 2 of his interview with Dr. Phil. That word hence appears in the ransom note in the first line at the top of page 2.
I got nightmares in my head, I fear thoughts build up until I can't feel. My mind fills up into a creature, and it haunts me somewhere much deeper. I got nightmares in my head, I fear.
Hello and welcome to True Crime Rocket Science, the most authentic voice in true crime. Do you think it's more likely that a faction of foreigners would use an English, an oh-so-English term like hence, given that only a select few English speakers even use it themselves in an everyday sense? When last did you use the word hence? I mean, do you know the equivalent for hence in French, German, or Italian? I don't. And what this shows isn't that Burke Ramsey wrote the ransom note, but that he is speaking in the same style, with the same parlance as the ransom note writer.
A little hypocritical, wouldn't you say?
Before we get to that, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, please do. I will, of course, be continuing with this analysis of the Larry King Live statement analysis. So look out for the next episode in the 5 Slip series. Also, I'll be doing a live stream later today, tonight, depending on where you are in the world. And I'll also be touching briefly on the JonBenet Ramsey case, specifically around this question of why didn't the district attorney prosecute? Why didn't he sign off on those indictments? If you're finding today's analysis worthwhile, please like, share, leave a comment. You can also hit the thanks button, and let's get started. So what do we mean by parlance? Well, the dictionary definition is it's a particular way of speaking or using words, especially a way common to those with a particular job or interest. I would also add to that your status in society, right? Think about how the Ramseys were in some ways in a different class and in a different sort of category to those around them. So other similar words are phraseology, speech patterns, talking style, and how does parlance translate to writing? Well, it does. How we speak is often how we write.
Parlance.
Now, believe it or not, all of us have idiosyncratic phraseology. If you found a ransom note with the words, "I'm not going to take it further than that," or "you better believe this is authentic," who would you think wrote it? Patsy liked words with accents. JonBenet, attaché. Attaché is also, that word on its own, a big giveaway from the ransom note. Would a foreign faction, would even a regular English speaker misspell possession and business and yet write attaché with an accent? I also want to touch on something else we dealt with in the previous video. Burke telling the grand jury that it did sound like his voice in the recording of the 911 call, but that he wasn't in the kitchen.
Although he would not admit that he was in the kitchen when his mother made the 911 call, he told the jurors that it sounded like his voice on the tape.
Sounds like one step forward, 2 steps back, right? Except I don't think the 911 call was made from the kitchen phone in the first place, which was a wall-mounted phone. Instead, I think the call was made from the phone in the basement. It would also make sense to write the ransom note not in the kitchen, but somewhere out of sight like the basement as well. Now, that also makes sense in a home with something like 102, 104 windows. The Ramsey home is just window to window, especially on the ground floor, which makes it kind of like an aquarium. And so if you're going to do something like staging or cover-up or something where you don't want to be seen, if there are a lot of windows, any lights that are on are going to illuminate you to the outside world. And so I do think the 911 call was made from the basement phone which sat on a table. Now, the reason I say this is the recording of other voices after Patsy hung up could only happen if she miscradled the phone. But you can't miscradle a wall phone. If you do, the phone just simply falls down. But wait, there's more. If you need further evidence that Burke was in the basement on the day after Christmas, it also came out in the grand jury testimony that Burke owned high-tech shoes. Well, guess what? There was a high-tech shoe print in the grout of the wine cellar. Now, an interesting question that arises is whether the shoe print was left next to JonBenet before or after she was killed. Given that there's a gift with torn wrapping paper, I wouldn't be surprised if he was there before and didn't actually know she was in the basement after the incident. But I do think he was in the basement with Patsy and possibly John standing by when the 911 call was made. I certainly think it's possible and makes sense given what we know and given what has been said. Amazingly, Patsy Ramsey herself actually used the term "and hence," not just hence, but "and hence," exactly as it appears in the ransom note in the Ramsey Christmas letter about a year after the incident. It's in this, a Christmas message from the Ramsey family, and there you see it, "and hence." Patsy's Christmas newsletters are really some of the best samples of Patsy's parlance, not so much her handwriting, but her style of expressing herself when she's writing.
Parlance.
Now, to repeat what I said before, if there's a phraseology associated with when we speak, there's also a choice of words, a certain kind of manner of writing that mimics our manner of speaking. So probably the best word for style of writing is diction, as opposed to style of speaking, which is parlance.
Diction.
And the dictionary definition of diction is, again, phraseology, phrasing, turn of phrase, choice of words, wording, articulation. And this can apply to speaking or writing. So Patsy's Christmas newsletters are really some of the best examples of Patsy's diction. Not so much her handwriting, but her style of expressing herself. She uses exclamation marks, just like the ransom note writer, and also seems to enjoy writing, has a knack for it and knows it, and likes to employ a turn of phrase, such as hither and yon. She also pokes fun playfully at John, saying, "All work and no play make John a dull boy." This is similar to the ransom note writer saying, "Use that good southern common sense, John, and don't try to grow a brain, John." I'm not going to take it further than that, just to ask you, did you ever pick up in any of the analysis that's gone on, have you ever heard anyone pick up on Burke Ramsey saying the word hence? Have you seen someone else pick up on it, or did you pick up on it? Let me know in the comments. As I said, I'll be doing a live stream. I'll be touching on the JonBenet Ramsey case, specifically on this question. Why didn't the DA act on those indictments? So we'll be looking at that. Thank you for listening, and I'll see you guys next time.